Hello and welcome back. Today we've been asked to graph a circle, and we've actually been given two different equations. And please, I want you to recall that given a particular circle, if the formula is in the format x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared, if you are given a circle in that format, then the center will always be at h comma k, and the radius will always be r. Now what does that mean for us? Well, ask yourself here, what am I subtracting from x to get x plus 3? And the answer is h is a negative 3 and k is 4. Now what do I mean by that? Well, if you go back to our original formula here, x minus h, what would you have to plug in for h to get a value of positive 3 here? And the answer is negative 3. X minus negative 3. So let's just think about that for a second. If I wrote x minus negative 3 squared, okay, what's minus a negative 3? You're going to end up with, ta-da, x plus 3. So h is negative 3, and k here, of course, is 4, and that equals 9, and 9 is r squared. Well, I don't want to know r squared, I want to know r. Well, if r squared is 9, take the square root of both sides, r equals 3. Okay? So now, what we're saying here is the center is at negative 3 comma 4, and the radius is 3. Now, just a real quick hint, a real quick tip. Whenever you see a circle in this format here, the center is always going to be change that sign, that's the x coordinate. Change that sign, that's the y coordinate. So change this to a negative, change this to a positive, and that's the center of your circle, x and y coordinates. Now, how do we graph that, given that information? Okay, so let's take this information. We're gonna scratch it out on a sheet of graph paper here. Okay, and what I'm gonna know about this circle is the center is at negative 3 comma 4, and the radius equals 3. Now, if I know that information, zoom out just a little bit here. If I know that information, I can graph this circle. Okay? So what do we do? Well, how do you graph a circle? Well, the first thing you want to do is you want to find the center. So we're going to go left 3, 1, 2, 3, and we're going to go up 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And that point, okay, that intersection of our graph paper grid, that is our center. Now, what is our radius? Our radius is 3. You have a lot of ways you can do this, but the easiest thing you can do is to take a compass and put your point at the intersection of your graph lines and spread it out so that the pencil lands exactly 3 grid lines away. And then I like to cheat and spin my paper. Leave my compass still and spin my paper. And if I do that, and hopefully my paper doesn't tear, I get a nice simple circle. And it should go 3 units in all 4 directions. Okay? And if it does that, then we know we made a nice pretty circle. So that's how we graph that circle. And if we had to graph another one, we could do that very simply. Here, if you look at this circle, what are we subtracting from x? We're not subtracting anything, so h is 0. What are we subtracting from y? We are subtracting negative 2, and remember I told you you can just cheat and say, well, that's positive 2. So the center coordinate is the opposite number, it's negative 2. And what is r? Well, this is 49, that's r squared, so take the square root of 49 and you get 7. So if I had to graph that circle, what would I do? same concept as before. We'd take a sheet of graph paper. We'd find our center. Our center is at 0, -2. Okay, so we take our graph paper and we find our center. Our center is at 0, -2. So it's going to be somewhere like this. Okay, 0, -2. And then we're going to take our compass. Okay, and we're going to put our point there. And we want to go out to a length of 7. So there's 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. And then, as I said previously, what I like to do, got too much stuff on my desk here. What I like to do is simply spin my paper. And this gives you a very nice, neat circle, which is a little hard to see in this light. But, you know, basically you end up with a circle that has a center of 0, -2. And then in any direction you can go exactly 7 units on this graph paper, and you will find the exterior of this circle. So it's kind of a fun little exercise given that equation, how to graph the circle. It's just coming straight from the equation there. The last question here on this sheet of paper is write the equation of a circle with the center -3, 5 and a radius of 8. Now the simplest way to do this is to start with your original equation, okay, which is x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. And then remember what I told you, the x value, if you change the sign, that becomes h. So change this sign. So instead of putting -3 here, we're going to put +3. And if you take this value, is +5, so we're going to change that sign and put -5. And then the radius was 8. So this is r. Well, I don't need r, I need r squared. So what is 8 squared? 64. So that's just 8 squared. Okay? So this would be our equation. And again, I can't stress enough that in putting this number in, basically what you're saying is you're saying x minus -3 squared plus y minus 5 squared. Okay? Well, what happens to these two negatives? They make a positive. That's where that comes from. Is I'm saying x minus -3. I'm saying y minus 5. Okay? So that's where these signs come from. That's the biggest confusion that I find most people have. So if you ever need to write the equation of a circle, it's to take this basic format that's out of any pre-calculus book and plug your center in for your h and k values, and then square the radius term, and that'll give you the equation for a circle in what we call center radius form. If you have any questions, please come see me or let me know. Thank you.